Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shanti Mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you in today's session. So we have, in the visit that I had in Kanai, we have discussed Sri Isopanishad's 11 verses, and now we wish to discuss the rest of the verses in these two online sessions. So in today's session, we wish to discuss the section of mantras 12, 13 and 14, and then on a session on Friday, same time, we wish to discuss the rest of the four verses. So I'm sure that uh, after we completed these 11 verses, so you must have got some chance also to revise what we have done, especially go through the sections and understand how the topics are flowing, what are the various sections of various mantras in the Ishopanishad. So one of the best ways to learn any scripture is to again and again go through the various sections, overview of the entire scripture. So here it is a small Upanishad with only 18 mantras. So, if you can remember the flow of the mantras, what is being discussed in first three verses and then next five verses. So like that sections, if you remember, then it's very easy to also remember the scripture, what it is teaching. So we have this PPT that I also shared with all of you, where we are seeing the various sections. So just a minute. Hare Krishna. So this is the overall flow of Ishopanishad, right? Introduction and invocation, we have seen those very wonderful sections, discussion on Om Purnamada. Then verses 1 to 3 are discussing Ishavasya principle, right? We talked about this proprietorship, how to live with that Ishavasya principle, understanding everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. And so one should accept one's quota and not encroach upon anyone else's property. That is Ishavasya principle. What is the benefit of that? Na karma lipyate nare. One is not at all bound by karma, and one thus becomes qualified to attain liberation, attain the spiritual world. That's the benefit which was spoken in the second verse. Third verse or mantra spoke about not if one does not follow, then what is the loss? Asurya namate loka adhena tamasarta taste pratyabhigachanti yekechatmagnojan. After giving up body, those who have not led their life as per Ishavasya principle, so then they enter into the darkest regions of existence. Such people, they go into very deep, ignorant, hellish destinations, and they continue to suffer in the cycle of birth and death. So that was the benefit and the loss spoken, first three verses. Next 4 to 8 verses, who that Ishvara is, right? Ishavas, everything belongs to Supreme Lord, but how do you describe that Supreme Lord? How do you know him? So first process Our first step in knowing him is that understand that it is not possible to know him fully. Inconceivability of Ishvara. He is inconceivable. He is achintya. He walks and doesn't walk. He is inside and outside. He is very near. He is yet very far. Uh, so all those seemingly opposite attributes that was discussed in two verses. So then, how does a Mahabhagavat Vaishnava see what is the spiritual vision? Uh, so that way, then Kanishtha, Madhyama, Uttama, those categories were discussed, and we saw that how one should at least strive to be on the Madhyamadikari platform so that one can have that spiritual vision. So some of the qualities they are described by that vision of spiritual vision of a Mahabhagavat. They are described in verse 8. Akayam, Avranam, Asnaviram, Paribhu, Shuddham, Apapa Vidham. Very wonderful qualities we discussed. Right. So that's how the second section was. Understanding that Ishvara, that was the second section. So in this way, understanding the principles of how to know the Lord. Now the third section, 9 to 14, speaks about so what is relative knowledge and what is absolute knowledge. Once you understand what is the process to understand, process to try to understand and serve the Supreme Lord. So then Isopanishad speaks about what is relative knowledge, what is the result of such a knowledge, and also what is the relative process of worship. So 9 to 11 verses, they spoke about Vidya and Avidya, absolute and relative knowledge, right? And they had that unique structure by which first we saw that Vidya and Avidya meant something, but in the next verse it meant something else. And finally, in the last verse also, we see that the idea spoken is very interesting. Uh, First verse said that Vidya, one sees that those who are worshipping Avidya, they go to darkness, but those who are worshipping Vidya go to greater darkness. Then the second verse says that one result is achieved by Vidya, another by Avidya. Third verse says that one should cultivate them simultaneously. So we talked about how those ideas they are to be understood. There is context and there is text. So we have to know both the things. So now, quite similar in the style, the next three verses they talk about the worship, what is absolute worship and what is relative worship. See, one thing is the knowledge aspect, but one who is taking the path of avidya, whom does he worship? And one who takes the path of vidya, whom does he worship? Absolute and relative worship. First, we talked about the knowledge. Now we will talk about the process, the abhideya, the worship, that way. So that is 12 to 14 now. So these are the verses. So let's see now. Okay. So you see, in these 12, 13, and 14 verses also, there are these two terms, asambhuti and sambhuti, which mean different thing, just like vidya and avidya. So quite similar in structure, these verses also. Uh, they are spoken exactly in the similar manner. So asambhuti, sambhuti, or asambhava, sambhava, or vinasha and sambhava. These words basically are similar only, very much similar in the meaning. And that's why we see that here we are comparing them. Asambhuti, sambhuti. In the verse 12, it means something. In verse 13, it means something else. And same way in 14 also. So verse 12 says that If you worship a Sambhuti, then you go to darker regions. And if you worship Sambhuti, then you go to even darker regions. So, Prabhupada explains that by worshipping demigods, you go to darker regions. And if you worship impersonal absolute, or you worship some pseudo religion in the name of proper path, then one may go into even deeper, darker kind of regions. So that's basically what the first verse is saying. Then the second verse says that one result is achieved by the worship of a Sambhuti or a Sambhava, and second result by worship of Sambhuti. So you see, so that one result is achieved by worshipping that which is not supreme, and another result is achieved by worshipping that which is supreme. So quite clear, right? Two different results are achieved by worshipping two different personalities or two different aspects of absolute, like that. So that's the verse 13. And finally 14 is saying that, whether a Sambhuti and Sambhuti, knowledge of the material world, knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it should be cultivated together. One should also know how to live in this world by Varnashrama and all those aspects. So then it is very easy to lead the life and then also focus on the Supreme. So knowledge of the material world is in terms of how to live in this world so that one becomes peaceful enough to practice bhakti. That's this particular Sambhuti aspect here, or Vinasha. That's the word used. So you see, basically it means that you have to have some practical knowledge in the world also to survive within the material world. And then that way, one can become peaceful to practice bhakti and, yes, practice the knowledge of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's why you need both. That's the verse 14. You need Varnashrama's knowledge. You need knowledge of surviving in this world. So, in proper context, it would mean Varnashrama knowledge. One knows how to live life as a Brahmana, or as a Kshatriya, as a Vaishya, Shudra, as a Brahmachari, as a Grahastha, Sannyasi, Vanaprastha. How should one live the life? What are the practical factors that one should know? And one should also know, obviously, how to worship the Lord and attain the spiritual world. So that's basically the theme. So once you understand these themes, then the verses, they will be easy to know. So you can see now, we will go through this. Mantra 12. So I will recite this. I'll ask one of you to read the translation. Andham tamah pravishanti ye sambhutim upasate tato bhuya ivate tamo yau sambhutyam rataha. All right. So, Prabhapati Prabhu, you want to read? Or whoever else who wants to read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danda Pranam.
Tanut Pranam Prabhu, please read.
The Sanskrit word, the translation.
No. Translation, yeah.
Those who are engaged in the worship of demigods enter into the darkest region of ignorance, and still more so do the worshippers of the impersonal absolute.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. So you can see Andham Tamaha Pravishanti. Andham Tamaha means blind darkness or dense darkness, ignorance basically. So they enter ignorance, means what? They enter into species that are very ignorant. They enter into such species or such regions which are extremely ignorant. So it can mean hellish planets, or it can mean hellish species also. Like somebody going into some species like dog or pig or something like that, attaining very lower species even within the animals. So that is andham tamah pravishanti. They enter into the darkness. Or it can also mean that those who continue to stay in the material world, because material world is considered to be dark place, right? Because by worshipping demigods, you don't become an animal like a dog or like that, right? So someone may feel like, why it is said that they enter the darkness. So the point is that if one continues to stay in the material world, it is considered to be like staying in the dark material world. This place is full of ignorance. So in that sense, it is entering into the darkest regions or dark regions. Uh, Ya Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna Mamu tu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. So you have to know that the comparison is being made with bhakti. That's why the criticism is like that. If the same demigod worship is compared with animalistic life or a vikarmi life, then that is so much glorified. Demigod worship or varnashrama being followed, it's very much glorified when the comparison is made from a certain frame of reference. So if you compare to vikarmi, then the karmis, demigod worshippers or varnashramis, they are very good. They are glorified. But if you compare them to those who are followers of Nivritti Marga, meaning followers of Jnana or followers of pure bhakti, so such people, when you compare them, so then we see that those same path, like that same path, like demigod worship or like that, it gets condemned also this way. So that's the important point to know. When Shastras take a certain frame of reference, then they will speak differently. So we have to know uh, with what frame of reference the talk is being made. All right. So let's see now what are the various themes that are spoken here. You can see first three paragraphs. Prabhupada explains this theme of even demigods and rishis misunderstand the absolute truth to be impersonal. So, first and foremost, it's not easy to understand the absolute. It's not easy to understand the Supreme Lord. Even great sages and such people also sometimes misunderstand. They don't have full clarity on Supreme Lord's position. So, what to speak of conditioned souls? Prabhupada is saying that aspect here. So, you see, that's the theme for first three paragraphs. So, we are reading from this purport now. So, can Vaibhav Krishna Prabhu, would you like to read this highlighted portion?
With pleasure,
That
Prabhu.
is,
First of all,
yeah.
please accept my Dandavat Pranam at your feet. Thank you very much, Prabhu. And Dandavat Pranam to all the assembled devotees. The Sanskrit word Asambhuti refers to those who have no independent existence. Sambhuti is the absolute personality of Godhead, who is absolutely independent of everything.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, first and foremost, Prabhupada gives the meaning of these words Asambhuti and Sambhuti. So, Sambhuti, which means Samyak Bhuti. Samyak means perfect, independent, or very well. That is Samyak, right? Samyak basically means perfect in Sanskrit. And Bhuti means existence. So, very perfect existence. So, who is that who is situated or existing very perfectly? That's the Supreme Lord, right? He is the one who is perfectly situated in his position, in his existence. All others we are not so much perfectly situated. So we are not independent like him, we are completely dependent. And if we depend on him, then we can also say that we are perfectly situated. Right? Prabhupada would say, what is the real independence? How would Prabhupada answer that? Anyone? When Prabhupada was asked, what is the real independence? So how did Prabhupada answer? Yes. Prabhupada was, I think it was about Independence Day only, and Prabhupada was asked, what's the real independence, Prabhupada? So I think you have not heard this. Prabhupada said the real independence is to declare our dependence on Krishna. That's the real independence. He said that the greatest independence or the real independence is to declare our dependence on Krishna. If that position is there, then we are independent. Amazing, no? When you depend on Krishna, then you are independent. If you don't depend on Krishna, then you are bound. Prabhupada would give example of a fish. When a fish takes shelter of the ocean, when fish depends on the ocean, then the fish has all the freedom to move, right? But if the fish becomes independent of the ocean, then it's a problem. Some fish says, oh, I am tired of this dependence on the ocean. Let me become independent from the ocean now. And I will come out of the ocean and I will have my own kingdom. What will happen? Fish will be finished. So similarly, actually, for all of us, the actual position is where we are dependent on the Supreme Lord. If we are not dependent on Him, meaning if we don't have that consciousness, although no one can become independent of Krishna, because whole body, our existence, these resources, even the air, the breathing, all that is impossible without Krishna's sanction, Supreme Lord's sanction. So it's an illusion to think that I can be independent of the Lord. But if one is in that sort of consciousness, it is considered to be a sambhuti, or it's considered to be not a good situation, not a perfect situation. So here, sambhuti means one who is independent of everything. That's the Supreme Lord. And asambhuti means, naturally, one who does not have those qualities. So it refers to those who don't have any independent existence, those who have dependent existence. So, personalities like demigods who may be very powerful, but then they are not independent. They are dependent. So that's the first aspect of definition that Prabhupada is clarifying. Who is a sambhuti? Who is sambhuti? So you can remember, sambhuti meaning samyak bhuti, which means perfect, completely independent existence. And asambhuti means anything which is not that. So that's all of us. That's the sages, that's the demigods, that's all these others who are not Supreme Lord, who are not independent this way. So that's the point. So all these great sages, they can't understand Krishna, right? Now Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Name vidhu suragana prabhavam na maharshaya ahamadirhi devana maharshinam chasanash. He says all the devatas, maharshis, they came from me. So naturally they don't know me, they don't understand me fully. Right? Krishna is the source. So as the source, he always remains incomprehensible to the effect, or to the amshas. We are all portions of the Supreme Lord. So as portions, the source remains incomprehensible. Completely, complete comprehension is not possible. We may be able to comprehend him something. So that's how Even Bhagavatam first verse says, right? Tene brahmarudhaya adhikavaye muhyanti yat suraya. From whom the great demigod sages Suri, Suri people. Who is a Suri? Suri is someone who is very, very intelligent. So Devatas, great sages, they are known as Suri. Surayaha, Bahuvachan. In plural, it becomes Surayaha. So सूर्य लोगों को भी भगवान भ्रमित कर देते हैं. That's the problem. Like that. So that's why it's not easy to understand Supreme Lord. Then Prabhupada is taking this argument further to say that, so that's why even such great sages, they misunderstand the Lord. They think that he is just a powerful demigod, or they may think that he comes from that impersonal effulgence or something like that. So sometimes, yes, it is possible that even the demigods or even the sages may misunderstand Supreme Lord. They may not have right conception about the Supreme Lord this way. So that's what Prabhupada is saying in 3 paragraphs. First 3 paragraphs, that's the theme, like that. Yes, Prabhu, continue. Vaibhav Krishna Prabhu, you can read this also.
Many philosophers and great rishis or mystics try to distinguish the absolute from the relative by their tiny brain power. This can only help them to reach the negative conception of the absolute without realizing any positive trace of the absolute. Definition of the absolute by negation is not complete. Such negative definitions lead one to create a concept of one's own. Thus, one imagines that the absolute must be formless and without qualities.
So, thank you, Prabhu.
Hare
So, this
Krishna.
is amazing. Huh? This section is amazing. These are the words by which one of Prabhupada disciples, very scholarly disciples, Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, he became convinced of Krishna conscious philosophy. One of the sections was this section. He spoke about this once, that how when he read this in Isopanishad, these statements, that definition of the absolute by negation is not complete. He felt like a great enlightenment, because he had been reading some impersonalism, and he was feeling the way they speak about Supreme Lord, right? Supreme Lord does not have a form, he does not have an attributes, he does not have smell, he does not have name. So he used to feel like, what sort of description is this? Right? Absolute by negation is not complete. Very amazing statement. See, mark this statement. It's one of the golden statement actually. Definition of the absolute by negation is not complete. When you want to describe Krishna, so you only say such a thing that, well, Krishna is not limited. Krishna is not does not have any deformity. Krishna is not influenced by time. Krishna is not influenced by any limitation. So, see, these are all negative conceptions that you are talking about, right? You're not talking anything positive. So, this is what happens when the mental speculators, they start talking about absolute, when they do a lot of speculation. Okay, what is absolute? So they compare it with the material world. So material world is miserable. They say absolute is very pleasurable. Material world is limited. They say it is unlimited. Absolute is unlimited. Material world is, only present. Things in material world, they are present here. They are not present there. But the absolute is everywhere. So they can talk about such things, but oftentimes it is just negation. It is neti, neti. That's why na iti, not this, not that, not this, not that. But what it is, right? If I were to describe someone of you saying, okay, Vaibhav Krishna Prabhu is not this, he's not that, he's not this, he's not that. After some time, you will say, no, you please tell something positive also, no? What he is, what are his qualities? I'm just giving an example to understand that how talk about someone positively is different, and just talking about negative attributes, it's different. So many philosophers and great rishis, they remain caught up into that negative conception of Supreme only. They never understand that there is some positive conception also. Right? That's the point. Like that. We gave that example of parrot, right? parrot. Parrot was dead, but the servant was just not speaking only anything. So Shankaracharya, he described the absolute in these negative manners. Absolute doesn't have form, doesn't have qualities, doesn't have gandha, meaning doesn't have any smell, no shabda, no sound, no rupa, no form, no sparsha, no touch, no rasa, no taste. So no, 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 no. What no? What about the positive? Is there anything? So that kind of positive information can never be reached by speculation. This is Prabhupada's point. You may go on speculating for years together, but can you ever reach to some positive aspect of Krishna's personality? Like Krishna is a blue boy. He has this Shama Sundar Ranga or Kanti. And then he wears a flute. How can this information ever come in a speculator's mind? Is it possible? No matter how much ever intellectual one is, it's impossible. So that's why I am making a subtle point here. You try to catch it. See, by speculation, at best one can reach to impersonal conception of the Supreme, which is the Brahman conception. You cannot reach to Paramatma by speculation, and you cannot reach to Bhagavan. Just forget it. Paramatma and Bhagavan features can never be reached by one's own intellectual power. They can only be reached if you come across someone who shares that information from scriptures. Otherwise, it is not possible. You just cannot. So even in the other religions, Semitic religions and all, world's three popular Semitic religions, so they talk about negation aspect at best. They may say that, okay, Supreme Lord is not this, not this, not this, not this, but then they don't describe him positively. They are not. Although they accept him as a person, personal God is common in Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. But they describe that person with complete negative conception. This is the idea. But we in Vedas and Vedic scriptures, we describe the absolute by positive information, not by mere negatives. Because negative definitions, they are not the complete description at all. You have to talk about positive descriptions. Krishna, how is he? Venum Gwanantam Arvinda Dalaya Taksha Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundara. This is positive. And here you are talking about Supreme Lord's positive aspects. So you understand? So this is why no matter how much ever intellectual one is, one can never reach the proper understanding of absolute without the help of scriptures. So that's why Prabhupada talks about even people like Socrates and all, who had understanding of Atma. They reached up to that level of understanding as Atma. But something beyond that, it will only be possible by scriptures. It will be only be possible by connecting to the process. Prabhupada says a few places that Socrates had realized that he was not body, but he was spirit soul. But that level of conception is also Brahman conception. Finally, it is at the level of Brahman. It is still not going beyond that. For that, one has to get the help of scriptures. So without scriptural help, one can at best go up to Brahman understanding, where one understands that, okay, absolute truth is free from anything mundane, right? In material world, things are limited, absolute is unlimited. In the material world, things are very miserable, absolute is full of joy. So such things, those are the definitions. So it's this para is a profound paragraph actually, where Prabhupada is speaking a very lofty philosophical principle of how only Vaishnavas or those who take shelter of scriptures can understand about Supreme Lord. This is the point. See, such negative qualities are simply the reversals of relative material qualities and therefore also relative. By conceiving of the absolute in this way, one can at the most reach the impersonal effulgence known as Brahman. But one cannot make further progress. So that's the issue with this way. And because of this, we see that because Lord is the source of everything, so even the great demigods or sages, sometimes they consider him or misunderstand him, right? The dependent demigods and great sages imperfectly consider him to be a powerful demigod, and they consider the Brahman effulgence to be the absolute. So sometimes you see, even in the Vedic realm, certain devata or certain sages, they may have some sort of misunderstanding about Supreme Lord, because they are not pure devotees, they are mixed devotees. They may have mixtures of jnana, mixtures of karma, like that. That is why they may not understand Supreme Lord perfectly well. Although they are great people like demigods and all. They are great people, right? Like even Indra, under the influence of pride, how we saw that Indra misunderstood Krishna's position. He did not understand Krishna. Who is he? Uh, that was because of his pride. Similarly, sometimes sages, they don't understand the exact position of Krishna, even great sages, although they may be very knowledgeable in other aspects of the Shastras, but because they are not manifesting the path of pure devotional service, so sometimes there may be some misconceptions. And that is shown for even examples such as Bhugu, or sometimes even for personalities who are sons of Brahma and such sages also. It may be possible that way. So the process of bhakti is very special, and only a devotee can understand the Supreme Lord very properly. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha. One has to know Krishna tattvataha with a proper understanding. Then such a person will be able to achieve his abode after quitting this body. So this is the aspect that Prabhupada speaks in the first 3 paragraphs, that even great sages and demigods, they are bewildered in understanding of Krishna. So what to speak of ordinary living beings? Now he takes the theme of how demigod worshippers, they stay in the dark material world. ये असंभूति में उपासक है, जो असंभूति की उपासना करते हैं, वे तमोमय अंधकार में प्रवेश करते हैं, like that. So now that's the theme that he speaks from para 4 to para 7. So now I would want someone else to read this. Srinath Prabhu, you want to read, Prabhu? This? No? That's on my screen. Para 4.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu?
Thanks,
Okay.
Prabhu.
You want to read?
Yeah, in the Bhagavad Gita 7:20-23, it is said that only unintelligent, bewildered person driven by strong desires for sense gratification worship the demigod demigods for the temporary relief of temporary problems. Since the living being is materially entangled, he has to he has to be relieved from material bondage eternally to attain permanent relief on the spiritual plane, where eternal bliss, life, and knowledge exist.
Thank you, bro. So you say those who are bewildered by strong desire for sense gratification, they worship the demigods. Why do the living entities go to the demigods? Yes, anyone can tell? Some of you. Why do, see, when worshipping Krishna and demigods, why do people want to worship demigods? What's the reason? What have you heard? It's why do they make such a choice to worship demigods rather than Krishna?
Prabhuji, can I answer?
Yeah, Srinath, is that you?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yes.
Prabhuji, so that they can get the quick result of their actions.
Krishna does not give quick results. What do you say?
He tells others, but like that.
He may or may not give, huh? What is? The demigods give, but Krishna, we are not sure whether he will give. Yes. Anyone else? Why? Thank you for that. Anyone else? Why people worship demigods and not Krishna? Rishi Kumar
To
Prabhu
fulfill Prabhuji
says
material desires,
for
or maybe
fulfillment of. So why can't they go to Krishna?
because Krishna will give us whatever he wants, not we want.
Okay. Krishna will give us what he wants and not we want. Huh? Why does he do such a thing? Why does he give what he wants? Prabhapati Prabhu?
Prabhuji, poor fund of knowledge.
Because of poor fund of knowledge, they go to demigods. That's good. Yes. Right.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Dalapna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, so Krishna will give, so what is good for us? That only Krishna will give us. For demigods, they do not consider whether it is good for us or not good. So whatever we desire, the demigod they may provide Prabhuji. So that is the different Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yes, this is a good point. See, Krishna's nature is he will not give. He can give anything that demigods give. He can give faster than demigods also. So all these aspects that the demigods give fast, immediately give result, or the demigods they are very powerful and they quickly reciprocate, or like all that thing. But actually, Krishna can do everything of that. But point is that yeah, that's his nature. If something is not good for us, in the ultimate sense, he will not give that. He will wait. So that's Krishna's nature. That is why people go to the demigods. Of course, one reason is because they are ignorant also. Out of ignorance, one may worship the demigod. But even if one is not ignorant, one knows the results given by various devatas and also Lord Vishnu. One may know that yes, Lord Vishnu, he has this nature, Lord Vishnu or Krishna, he has this nature that he will give only if it is good for the spiritual life, only if it is good for Paramartha, only if it is good for the spiritual benefit. That's nature of Krishna. Or he may give material benefit also, but then he gives it only after purifying you thoroughly. That's also one way he deals with it. Krishna, when someone approaches with material benefit, he will give it. No problem. But he gives it after he purifies one thoroughly, and that time the devotee doesn't desire it. And then he says, now you take it, because now you will not miss it, realize. now you will not become attached. Like Dhruva wanted great kingdom. So Lord Vishnu, when he gave, that time Dhruva was already not desiring it. In fact, lamenting, why am I desiring? Why was I desiring this before? So that's nature of Krishna actually, very unique, uh, very much affectionate to his devotee, that he sees what is the best thing. That's why. And that's why we see that many people worship demigods in this world, because they just want the fulfillment of desire. They don't want these considerations, whether it is good for me, not good for me. No, I want it, so I should get it. This particular manner. So Prabhupada would give example of a shopkeeper. A shopkeeper does not worry if some sweetmeat is being asked, whether that child or that person he has some problem. The child may be eating too many sweetmeats and spoiling his teeth or something, or and even an elderly man may be eating too many sweets, and that may not be good if someone has a diabetes or something. But that's not the concern of shopkeeper, right? That's the concern of somebody who is loving to that person. Such a person, like for a child mother, may not give that, even though child demands. Why? Because she is aware that it's not good for my child. Like that. So same way Krishna also deals with his devotees, or deals with anyone who he approaches. So he fulfills their desires, but he also meanwhile in that process, he makes them so qualified that they will not misutilize those things. So that's why Krishna has his own watch. We may ask something from Krishna, which is fine if we think that we need it for our service. We may ask. But when we are asking, we don't put a condition to Krishna that you have to give this. Krishna, I need this for my service. You must give this. We don't put like that condition. We just put the condition. We just pray very simply to the Lord that if you think that this is useful, this is what I feel that this will facilitate my service. So if you feel like that, my Lord, please bless me with this particular fulfillment. But if you don't think that it is needed, then you don't have to give. So that sort of settlement has to be there within our mind as a devotee. Otherwise, it will become conditional sort of. So my point is that yes, Krishna has his own ways of fulfilling. As a devotee, we know that Krishna, he will give something, but then he gives only after he is convinced that we will not misutilize it. We will not become proud. We will not become attached to it. Then he will give this manner. So that's the difference between the way Krishna and the demigods work. So here Prabhupada is saying that so many these demigods these people go to worship the demigods, right? But then by worship of demigods, where do they end up? They end up into achieving the planets of those demigods, right? Isn't it? What is that verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna speaks about how the devatas worshippers of devatas go to their planets and worshippers of Krishna come to Krishna. Anyone? Prabhupati Prabhu, what is that verse?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is Kshitish, Prabhuji.
Okay, Kshitish, please tell.
Prabhuji, 9.25 Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan.
Yeah, tell no. Verse.
Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, Pitran Yanti Pitra Vrataha, Bhutani Yanti Bhutejya, Yanti Madhya Jinopimam.
Exactly. Yes, thank you. So very clearly, right? Krishna says that different destinations achieved by different people. This verse is important. Whenever somebody says all paths lead to same goal, Prabhupada would quote this verse and say that very clearly Krishna is giving different destination to different people, and how can we say all paths lead to same goal? Right? So that's the point. So because you achieve the planets of the demigods by worshipping them, and those planets are within the material world, which is a dark place, which is a place which is illuminated by external source of light. Right? Spiritual world does not need sun or moon or electricity or anything like that. Na tad bhasayate suryo, na shashanko, na pavaka. Yat tatva na nivartante tattham. But here in the material world, is it possible that you don't need sun or moon? It's not possible. That's why it is called dark. It is literally dark. And then it is dark in the sense because it is the place of forgetfulness of the Supreme Lord, right? Nobody remembers the Supreme Lord here. Everybody is running behind sense enjoyment, forgetting the Supreme Lord. So darkness of ignorance. It is literally also dark, and it is figuratively also dark. It is full of ignorance, right? You walk on the street, how many people know about Krishna? How many people know about Bhakti? You may be working in a place. How many people around you know about Supreme Lord? Okay. Hardly anyone, right? Because yes, this is a place where the darkness prevails. So by worshipping demigods, you are going to be there again, continue to reside in the material world. One may go to the planets of that demigod, but still it's within the material world. So that's the meaning of this phrase, that those who worship the demigods, they remain in the dark places, darkness, this way. So Prabhupada says, like all these moon planet, sun planet, Brahmaloka, all this. However, all planets in the material universe are temporary residences. The only permanent planets are the Vaikuntha Lokas. Brahmabhuvana Loka, Prabhupada says. So that's why Sri Isopanishad points out that one who worships the demigods and attends to their material planets still remains in the darkest region of the universe. Very nice analogy Prabhupada gives. The whole universe is covered by the gigantic material elements. It is just like a coconut covered by a shell and half filled with water. Just like you have a coconut and that coconut is covered by a shell and it has water. Similarly, this whole universe is also like that, right? It has its shell and then half of it is filled with Garbhodak waters. And inside you need illumination by sun and moon and all that. That's not the case in Vaikuntha Loka. So Prabhupada describes in this manner these places. So this is the issue with those who are, we see that worshipping the demigods like that. But then there are these others now. He speaks about the others. See, those who worship the Sambhuti, they go to even greater darkness. So now you may say, Sambhuti means we had spoken that Supreme Lord, right? Those who have independent existence, that is Sambhuti. One who has independent existence. Perfect existence, Sambhuti. So here, that aspect refers to actually impersonal Brahman. It is not exactly referred to Supreme Lord, but it is referring to the Brahman aspect. If somebody is just worshipping that impersonal conception of the Absolute. Because all three features of Absolute, right? Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, they are one and the same. So Sambhuti is referring to those who are, it's basically referring to the impersonal feature. And those who are worshippers of that impersonal feature, they are the ones who are talked about in the last part of the purport. You can see. So these people, they are atheists or they are impersonalists, Mayavadis. These guys are pseudo-religionists also. They show as if they are great scholars, but they are propagating completely speculative paths. Even in today's day and time, right? So many people, they have big titles, but they are giving all asat shiksha. They are not proper bona fide spiritual master. They are not sadguru, and they are asadguru, right? Why? Because completely speculative sort of understanding of absolute. So these are the people who are masquerading as great spiritual leaders, and they are in fact taking all the people, misleading all the people. So these are the ones Prabhupada speaks about. So let's read this last part of the purport now. Right. So who wants to read? Please read this. The atheists not directly deny. Any one of you can read because I'm not sure. Some of you probably.
The,
Uh,
the,
yeah.
Prabhuji,
Yes. Please read.
the atheists directly deny the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the impersonalists support the atheists by stressing the impersonal aspect of Supreme Lord. Thus far, we have not come across any mantra in Sri Isopanishad in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead is denied. It is said that he can run faster than anyone. Those who are running after other planets are certainly persons, and if the Lord can run faster than all of them, how can he be impersonal?
Yes,
Thank
Prabhu. Thank you.
thank
Thank you. So Prabhupada says that you can see atheists are the ones who directly deny, and the impersonalists, they also are sort of covered atheists only because they also deny all attributes in the Supreme Lord. Huh? So it's like that parrot example. You, instead of saying that the parrot is dead, you are saying parrot doesn't speak, parrot doesn't dance, parrot doesn't eat anything, parrot doesn't fly, parrot doesn't move, a parrot doesn't. So, instead of saying that the parrot is dead, you are saying all other things. So similarly, saying that absolute truth is devoid of this, devoid of that, it is not this, not that. How is it much different than an atheist, right? Uh, Buddhism is covered. We were talking that how impersonalism is covered Buddhism, right? Prachannam Bauddham. So they are more or less similar in the category. So Prabhupada says that's why those who preach impersonalism, and by impersonalism here we don't mean Brahmavadis because we have talked about them already. Brahmavadis are not considered offenders, but these other guys who are Mayavadis or who are just complete speculators who have their own ideas about absolute. So such people, no, they are considered to be even deeper in ignorance, especially Mayavadis or such speculators. At least demigod worship is a proper path. Mayavad is not a proper path. You understand? It is not a bona fide path. It is a complete. It is a path which is a completely bewildering path, and it was preached for one particular reason by Shankaracharya. It's not a bona fide path. Uh, It's a blasphemous path, in fact, to the Supreme Lord. So Brahmavadis are okay, but the Mayavadis, for whom Prabhupada uses impersonalist. Usually for Prabhupada, impersonalists mean Mayavadis. He sometimes may include Brahmavadis also, but primarily when he is criticizing impersonalists, he is criticizing Mayavadis. This way. So, such ignorant pseudo-religionists you can see here. the ignorant pseudo-religionists or the manufacturers of so-called incarnations, right? Sometimes there are manufacturers of incarnations. Prabhupada would say India is a factory of incarnations. In Prabhupada's time itself, so many people were claiming that they are Kalki. When I was working in Bangalore before 10, 15 years, there were few cases going on in Bangalore on who Kalki is. Multiple people claiming that they are the Kalki Bhagwan. So like that, Appa Kalki and Amma Kalki and whatever, all such things. So the point is that ordinary people claiming to be Bhagavan, so that's a very pathetic thing. And it is also very offensive thing towards the Supreme Lord. So that's why Prabhupada says the ignorant pseudo-religionists and the manufacturers of so-called incarnations who directly violate the Vedic injunctions are liable to enter into the darkest region of the universe. So, especially such Mayavadis or such pseudo-religionists who are misleading people, Lord will punish them more severely, isn't it? Right? Lord will punish them because they are misleading everyone. We talked about this last section also. It's like cobra with a jewel on the hood. It's more dangerous. It's like a thief or a robber in the garb of a policeman. Very dangerous, no? Can do so much of harm because people will have so much faith and then he can exploit that faith. So that's why all these impersonalists like Mayavadis who say that everyone is God, you are God, I am God, or basically talking like how Krishna's form is Maya, everything is illusion. Maya, these are all different facets of Mayavad. Basically, Mayavad means Krishna's form is Maya. The whole world is Maya, including Krishna's form is Maya. That's Mayavad. Define. But it has all its other facets also. So because you call Krishna's form as Maya, and then you call your form as also Maya, so you are non-different than Krishna because everything is Maya. It's just all very baseless kind of philosophy. So anyway, the point is this, that Prabhupada is saying, the Isopanishad itself is saying that. So that's why those who are worshippers of such Mayavadi conception of the absolute, so they enter into deeper darkness. Krishna throws them into very terrible material species because they offend the Supreme Lord, Mayavadi, Krishna, Paradhi, right? So he will put them into repeated cycle of birth and death, but that too on a greater darkness, in a greater darkness than even those who are demigod worshippers. Why? Because that's a path where we see there is a lot of misleading being done to the others, and there is also great blasphemy of Supreme Lord that is being done, so which is very severe in this way. So that's why Prabhupada is speaking that these people, they go to the deeper, darker regions this way. These pseudo-religionists have neither knowledge nor detachment from material affairs, but for most of them want to live in the golden shackles of material bondage. In fact, such people, Prabhupada says, many times take philanthropic activities, right? This is typically how they join philanthropic activities, opening hospitals and feeding food and all, which is, we are not saying it is bad, but then it is no longer divine, no? It is more or less like mundane social work. So they claim to be on a very exalted platform, but then they are not this way. So such people, they don't worship Acharya. They don't have anything to do with Acharya. Acharya Upasanam. They have their own ideas. So many such people in today's world you see, right? If you find out where from they are speaking the ideas, they will say, no, it's all from my heart. I just got this wisdom by my contemplation. And the ideas are so much mistaken oftentimes. It's just that some of these guys may have very great communication skills, great verbose speakers with lot of ability to influence people by speaking in a very, very attractive manner. So, but do they do Acharyopasanam? This is how. So Sri Isopanishad confirms that these pseudo-religionists are heading towards the most obnoxious place in the universe after the completion of their spiritual master business, which they conduct simply for self-gratification. So that's the point here. Sambhuti and Asambhuti. Asambhuti is demigods, while Sambhuti is basically, although it's referring to the Supreme Lord, but it's referring to that misunderstanding about Supreme Lord, that impersonal conception where one is leading everyone to that misleading understanding. So that's how this mantra is there. All right, I think. Anything you want to ask on this mantra? Hare Krishna, that completes the discussion on this. Do you wish to ask anything? Any question or any comment? What happened? Everybody is very quiet. No questions, nothing. All right, then let's take 5 minutes break. Manoj Prabhu, you have something? Yes, Manoj Prabhu, please speak.
प्रभु एक भक्त पूछना चाहते हैं।
Yes.
हरे कृष्णा, दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी।
दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु, दंडवत।
प्रभु जी, मेरा प्रश्न है, जो बिन पग चले सुने बिन काना, कर विधि कर्म करे विधि नाना। तो निराकारवादी लोग तो बोलते हैं बिन पग के भगवान चलते हैं, तो मतलब हम समझ उनका जो भी भाव हो, तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि भगवान बिना हमारे सोच के हिसाब से यदि ये श्लोक बोला गया है, तो बिन पग चले सुने बिन काना, मतलब भगवान बिना पग के चल सकते हैं, लेकिन हम उनको वो अलग विशेष मानते हैं कि निराकार मतलब उनका कोई रूप नहीं है, कोई कुछ बिन पग चले सुने बिन काना, कर विधि कर्म करे विधि नाना, मतलब वो कुछ कर्म नहीं करते हैं, जो भी है, मतलब इसके बारे में थोड़ा।
बात यह है प्रभु कि देखो, भगवान को बगैर कानों के वे सुन सकते हैं, मतलब क्या कि बगैर कानों के वो सुन सकते हैं, मतलब उनके कान नहीं है, ऐसा कहना गलत हो जाएगा। हाँ? बगैर कानों के सुनते नहीं, सुन सकते मतलब उनको हमारे जैसे कानों की जरूरत नहीं है, ऐसा अर्थ होगा ना। हाँ, हमें जैसे कान लगते हैं, भौतिक कान है, उसके सिवा हम सुन नहीं सकते, ऐसे भगवान को जरूरत नहीं है। लेकिन इसका अर्थ ऐसा करना कि उनके आध्यात्मिक कान भी नहीं है, ये तो गलत हो गया। ये देखो क्या हो गया, उसके तर्क का उसने व्यतिक्रम कर दिया, तर्क से ज्यादा आगे चला गया। तो यहीं पे शास्त्र बताता है कि आप तर्क से अगर भगवान को पूरे समझ रहे हो, तो फिर तर्क बड़ा हो गया ना भगवान से। कौन बड़ा हो गया? तो ये ऐसे सोचना कि भगवान जो है बगैर कान के सुन लेते हैं, तो इसलिए भगवान के कान नहीं है, ऐसा कहना, निराकारवादी तो यही कह रहा है ना, भगवान के कान नहीं है। तो ये तो ठीक नहीं हुआ ना। ये तो ऐसे हो गया जैसे तर्क से भगवान को पकड़ने का प्रयास कर रहा है। हाँ, ऐसा नहीं है। तो ये बात किसने बोल दी किसको, हमें, कि भगवान हमारी तरह कान नहीं है, इसका अर्थ हुआ कि उनके कान ही नहीं। तो फिर कर्ण कुंडल, इतना बढ़िया बढ़िया चीजें बताई है। मकर कुंडल कैसे पहनते हैं, इतने सुंदर सुंदर कर्ण के आभूषण पहनते, वो के कौन से कान, किसके कान में डाल रहे हो? तो इसलिए मायावादी या लोगों का क्या हो जाता है, निराकारवादियों का, उनका भी तर्क के स्तर पे ही सीमित रहता है। वो शास्त्र के जो पॉजिटिव वचन है, सकारात्मक वचन, उस पे उनका ज्यादा जोर नहीं होता है, वो तर्क के स्तर पे रहते हैं। तो तर्क तो भ्रमित करने वाला है, उसमें कोई ये नहीं। हमने सोची बताई ना बात हो, तर्क से ज्यादा व्यक्ति ऐसे निराकारवाद वाले निराकारवाद वाले मत तक पहुंच सकता है, उससे परे नहीं जाएगा। वो क्या बोलेगा, बगैर कान के भगवान सुनते हैं। तो इसलिए मैं हम पूछेंगे तो क्या है भगवान, तो बोलेगा भगवान के कान नहीं है, बगैर कान के सुनते हैं। अरे बगैर भौतिक कान के सुनते हैं भाई, आध्यात्मिक कान तो है ना उनके। हम बगैर आंखों के देखते हैं, मतलब बगैर भौतिक आंखों के देखते हैं, लेकिन उनके इतने सुंदर सुंदर नेत्र है। उन सुंदर नेत्रों का वर्णन सारे शास्त्रों में, नमः पंकज नाभाय, नमः पंकज मालिने, नमः पंकज नेत्राय न, सब कुछ पंकज पंकज के जैसा है। तो ये निराकारवादी को बेचारे को ये ज्ञान नहीं है, या है भी तो उसको उसके संस्कार कुछ अलग टाइप के हो गए, इसलिए वो उसको सुनना नहीं चाहता। समझे प्रभु?
धन्यवाद प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा, दंडवत प्रणाम।
धन्यवाद। परम सुंदरी राधा माता जी प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्णा प्रभु। मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है कि जैसे इस वाली वर्स में संभूति इज रेफरिंग टू इम्पर्सनल ब्राह्मण, ठीक है, और जिस तरीके से प्रभु 9th वर्स में उन्होंने अविद्या और विद्या का बताया था, तो अविद्या इज द रॉन्ग नॉलेज। तो प्रभु इन वर्ड्स को ईशोपनिषद व्हाई इट इज मेकिंग इट सो डिफिकल्ट एंड सो कि मतलब कंफ्यूजिंग, लाइक एक्चुअली में संभूति का मतलब आपने बताया कि सम्यक और भूति, सम्यक परफेक्ट एंड भूति मीन्स एग्जिस्टेंस, तो परफेक्ट एग्जिस्टेंस विच इज सुप्रीम पर्सनालिटी ऑफ गॉड। बट ये यहाँ पे संभूति कह रहे हैं वो कि इट इज रेफरिंग टू इम्पर्सनल ब्रह्मन, तो क्यों ऐसे ईशोपनिषद कंफ्यूज कर रहा है हमें?
नहीं देखिए, मैं शुरुआत में भी बता रहा था ना कि उपनिषद जो है उसकी एक शैली है बोलने की। हाँ, वेदांत सेक्शन है, तो थोड़ा सीधा बात नहीं करता उपनिषद। उपनिषद खास करके ज्ञानी लोगों के लिए बना है, जो कि चीज को सीधा बात किया तो पसंद नहीं करते, उनको थोड़ा सा चीजें घुमा के बोलनी पड़ती है। तो उपनिषद सन्यासियों के द्वारा पढ़े जाते थे पिछले, मतलब वैदिक काल में भी। तो वो उपनिषद उससे पढ़े जाते थे जो कि खास करके ज्ञान का या निवृत्ति मार्ग का अधिकारी है। तो वो चीज जो है, कोई इस प्रकार का ज्ञानी होता है, उसको सीधा बोल दिया आपने, देखो ऐसा ऐसा है, तो उसको लगेगा कि अरे ये क्या है, इतना सिंपल बोल दिया। तो कुछ तो इस प्रकार से उपनिषद निश्चित, बलदेव विद्याभूषण कहते हैं कि उसकी भाषा ऐसी होती है कि जो ऐसे लगे जानबूझ के वो जो है भाषा आपको थोड़ा सा इंटेलेक्चुअल, बौद्धिक जो है उसमें ये सब प्रकार चलते हैं, दार्शनिक विचार आदि आदि, थोड़ा उसमें एनालिसिस होता है, कॉन्टेक्स्ट होता है उसका। तो ये सब के बाद में फिर वो ज्ञानी लोगों को पढ़ने में मजा आता है, उनको उसमें रस आता है। तो चूंकि आप भक्त हो, आप एक भक्ता हो, इसलिए आप कह रही हो कि ये ऐसे क्यों लिखते हैं उल्टा पुल्टा करके, कंफ्यूजन वगैरह वगैरह ऐसे क्यों। क्योंकि भक्त को स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड पता है वो तत्व, कृष्ण है, कृष्ण की भक्ति करनी है, कृष्ण के अलग अलग सब शक्तियां हैं आदि आदि सब कुछ। लेकिन जो ज्ञान मार्ग के अनुयायी होते हैं उनको चीजों को इस प्रकार से थोड़ा सा जटिल रूप में समझना अच्छा लगता है। बाद में वो कंक्लूजन पे आते हैं, वही आते हैं, हाँ, जो निष्कर्ष है वहीं पे आते हैं वो, लेकिन थोड़ी जटिलता होती है बोलने में, सीधा नहीं बोलेंगे। हाँ, तो ये ईशोपनिषद का स्वभाव है थोड़ा। तो वैसे ही अन्य उपनिषदों का भी है। लेकिन कुछ कुछ चीजें बड़ी सरल बोली जाती है, स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड। जैसे वो आगे एक श्लोक आएगा, हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण, सीधा सीधा बोला जा रहा है उसमें, भगवान आपके सामने ये जो आपका आभा है, दिव्य आभा ब्रह्म ज्योति, इसको हटाइए ताकि हम आपके रूप का दर्शन कर पाए। तो अभी वो ऐसा श्लोक है ना, उसको कोई निराकारवादी वगैरह उसको मिसइंटरप्रेट नहीं कर पाता है। इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल, इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू मिसइंटरप्रेट। लेकिन कुछ कुछ ऐसे श्लोक होते हैं जिसके द्वारा थोड़ा भगवान उनको भी स्कोप देते हैं खेलने में। तो आपको ये विशेष लगेगा कि ऐसे क्यों है, लेकिन वैसे ही है, क्योंकि ज्ञान के मार्ग के स्क्रिप्चर्स है ये, तो उसमें थोड़ा सा intellectual gymnastics Lord allows by putting such words so that they can come up with some meanings and all. But then Vaishnavas, they consistently give proper meanings. So then once those meanings are clear, nobody can argue with that meaning, because you have to see all the verses and connection. So why it's like that? It is like that because of the intellectual gymnastics that the Jnani likes to do. Get it now?
ठीक है प्रभु, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Yeah. So for devotee, it is very clear. Yeah, but for Jnani, he tries to come up and speculate. Okay, so all right then. Thank you for those questions. So I think we'll proceed now with the next verse. In case anybody needs some break, please take it for your. Anyway, this is an online session, so no problem. So we'll proceed with the next verse now. So this is now mantra 13. Anyadevahu sambhavat anyadahura sambhavat iti shushrumadhiranam yenastadvichachakshire. All right. Who wants to read? Please read the translation. Anyone?
It is said that one result is obtained by worshipping the supreme cause of all causes, and that another result is obtained by worshipping what is not supreme. All this is heard from the undisturbed authorities who clearly explained it.
Yeah. Thank you. So you say now, this is second verse. Anyad eva ahuhu sambhavat. So now the word here is sambhava. What was the word before? Sambhuti. Now it is sambhava. It means the same. Samyak bhava. Sambhava. Bhava also means existence. Bhuti means existence. Similarly, sambhava also means existence. Like that. And asambhava, which means again, it's not a perfect existence. It is a dependent existence. So that will refer to that which is not supreme, that which is not independent. So it can refer to demigods, it can refer to anything that is not supreme, jivas, demigods, great politicians, leaders, whatever, and number of things. That which is not supreme. So, Anya Deva Ahuhu Sambhava, the worship of Sambhava, the worship of Supreme Lord, gives one result. And worship of that which is not Supreme Lord, Asambhava, gives another result. Iti Shushrumadhiranam. This we have heard from the great Dhiras and the great personalities. Right? In the last verse, you remember, we had discussed how the knowledge of Krishna consciousness should be taken from the Dhiras, from those who are perfectly sense-controlled, undisturbed authorities, not those who are sense enjoyers, who are not practicing any principles in their life. So this is what we have heard from the Dhiras. The speaker of Isopanishad is saying, Yenastad vichachakshire. And they, in this manner, they describe to us, they explain these truths to us. So basically the verse is saying there are different results obtained by different paths. One path gives one result, another path gives another result. So this whole idea that all paths lead to same goal, no? Prabhupada focuses on that and refutes this idea here. All paths lead to same goal. No? So when somebody says all paths lead to same goal, no, you can also quote this verse. Why does the Isopanishad say that Anya Devahu Sambhavat, Anya Dahu Sambhavat? One result is achieved by worshipping that is supreme, and another result is achieved by worshipping that is not supreme. So how can all paths lead to same? Isn't it? So Prabhupada also, he takes up this theme, you see. This is mantra 13. Dhira exposes folly of all paths lead to same goal. Dhira teaches Shastra. Dhira means these great sense-controlled sages and the teachers. So what is the truth then? All paths, they don't lead to same goal then? Yes, different paths lead to different goals. So that's what Prabhupada speaks in para number 2 to 4. So then those who worship Krishna, do they attain a specific goal? Yes. Huh? So Prabhupada speaks about how Arjuna, he accepted Krishna as the supreme and worshipped him, followed his desire to fight, and thus he satisfied Krishna. So Arjuna's example is given to show how Arjuna became a perfect example of that संभव, संभवात, मीनिंग जिन्होंने संभव की आराधना की, तो वो संभव मतलब भगवान. That's the point. Those who don't worship Sambhava, instead they worship Asambhava, those people are also discussed by Prabhupada. Who are they? They say, well, people are my God, right? Madhav Seva, what is that? Manav Seva, he, Madhav Seva. People are my gods. Jana Seva, he Ishvara Seva. Or Manav Seva, he Madhav Seva. All these guys, they are Asambhava. They are the worshippers of Asambhava. Or somebody may worship himself only. I am God. There are people like that, you know. They are called as Ahangrahopasakas. One time I had entered into one of the, you know, he was a donor actually. So I went to meet him, and then he invited me in his puja room. So he was just becoming a donor. And I saw that in puja room, there were huge mirrors, and he was worshipping himself in the mirror. Amazing, no? He was worshipping, doing his own arti, offering dhupa, deepa, and everything to oneself. So I was like amazed. I had read in Shastra about Ahangrahopasakas and such people. So here there was an example also. Somebody worshipping himself. Or I am God, having that idea. So those are the ones who are examples of Asambhavat. Arjuna is the example of Sambhavat. And then finally, hearing from Dhira helps one and all to attain perfection. So Prabhupada has written a long purport here. But basically, if you go by themes, these are the themes. These are the points. If you understand these points, then you have understood the purport. More or less. Yes. All right. So let's talk about this idea of all paths lead to the same goal or not. Isn't it? This idea is spoken so many places in India. They will say, Are Maharaj, yato mat tato pat. Whatever. Whatever you do, Maharaj, everybody is going to achieve final moksha, shanti. They say like that. So Prabhupada, you can see here. The system of hearing from undisturbed authorities is approved in this mantra. That word is what? Dhiranam. One should hear from the dhiras. One should not hear from adhiras. See, it's very important on this point, all of you. Please note this point of that who are we hearing from in the life? That's very, very important. Are we hearing from bona fide practitioners, or are we hearing from some unreliable sources, internet, speakers, or some Mayavadis would be worse, but that Mayavadi may be in the garb of a devotee. So, especially with so much of explosion of opportunities to hear, we have to be very careful whom are we hearing. We hear Srila Prabhupada, we hear Guru Maharaj, and we hear bona fide Vaishnavas who are approved by our seniors, superiors, authorities. We hear them. Otherwise, the whole world wants to speak, right? This day and time. Now, there is so much of vega. Vacho vegam manasah krodha vegam. Vacho vegam. Everybody wants to speak, right? Uh, Hardly anyone wants to learn. Before they learn, they want to speak it. So actually, we have to take some trouble also to learn. We may be eager to share God consciousness, but we have to see that, first of all, we also have to learn nicely something, especially if we are trying to teach. We can share some simple Krishna consciousness in the beginning, or our students can share some simple Krishna consciousness in the beginning. But if we want to teach a subject, then we have to be thoroughly clear with what is said, at least to some considerable degree, isn't it? But today's day and world is different, actually. One time I saw that I was teaching a very difficult subject, actually. I was teaching some part of commentaries, Sanskrit commentaries of Bhagavatam, and so I said to some of the students that you first learn this nicely, then you can teach to others. But then such an eagerness to teach without understanding the full implications that, they got into teaching, and then they were not able to answer questions. It was all confusion. And then they came to me saying that, Prabhuji, I was trying to teach, but then this group got completely confused. So now can you clarify? So I said, Prabhu, you can just wait for some months. You learn it nicely, then you teach. No, why so much hurry to teach? Sometimes it may be because there is some glory, glory in becoming a teacher. Name, fame, glory, same sad story, they say. So that tendency may be there in more or less proportions in all of us. Maybe me also included. That tendency may be there. But no, we learn the subject nicely, absorb it, understand it, and then we teach it to others. General preaching scenario is different. There, Prabhupada said you can share whatever. You know A, you teach A. You know B, you teach B. But especially when you have a formal, serious kind of teaching, then it's very important that we have ourselves absorb the knowledge very nicely. So that's the point. Unless one hears from a bona fide acharya. So in today's day and time, especially, I was saying this: who are we hearing from? That's a very important point. Even this whole AI thing, right? Sometimes these boys, students in my classes also, they come up with some pramanas and all, and they're all produced by AI. These are false pramanas. There is nothing like that. And then it gets detected immediately that so AI and all such things, sometimes they create pramanas also. They create some references. By pramanas, I mean references, which are false references. So they're not like that. And you correct them, then immediately the AI will say, yes, no, I will correct this. I have noted it, and all that. So, yeah, we have to not leave the bona fide process of reading from Prabhupada books, and listening to Prabhupada, listening to Guru Maharaj, and the bona fide Vaishnavas. It's very, very important thing. Then we will maintain the purity of our Vani. See, we should not lose the sanctity of our speech. When we speak something which is not authentic, no, it is actually asati jivva. That is a tongue which is not acting with loyalty to Krishna, loyalty to Parampara. So jiva sati dardurike vasuta nachogo upagayati urgayaka. And Bhagavatam says such a jiva is called asati. She is considered to be like a very disloyal, somebody who is not loyal. Shastras speak more stronger words like a prostitute or like that. But the point is, yeah, the sanctity of our tongue, the sanctity of our speech should be maintained by speaking that which is pure and in line with the Shastra. Otherwise, we can keep quiet actually. We don't have to speak. We can listen. We can chant Hare Krishna. That's okay. We are maintaining the purity. But too much urge to speak without without knowing the things, without understanding properly, or without hearing from the bona fide people, that's the characteristic of today's day and time, especially. So as Vaishnavis, we don't want to be victim of this perversion, right? So Prabhupada is speaking about this, that dhiras iti shushruma dhirana. We have heard this from the dhiras. So those dhiras are basically the ones who are bona fide candidates who are speaking the Shastra. So this is it. So Prabhupada brings up that topic. Do all paths lead to same goal? What is this verse saying? No, not at all. Bhagavad Gita 9.25 also Prabhupada says that. Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, that one. Here also in Sri Isopanishad it is verified that one achieves different results by different modes of worship. If we worship the Supreme Lord, we'll certainly reach Him in His eternal. Right? But yato mat tato pat is a very popular idea, especially in India. This is because of what? This is again because of preaching of Mayavad, where they have preached that no matter what, once you die, you get moksha. Everyone achieves Brahman. Sare jo hai vileen ho jate hai. Even the words have become like that. Anant mein vileen ho gaye. Actually, these words have caused also a lot of confusion. Sab Maya hai, they will say. What is this Sab Maya hai? It's a bogus statement. Or if we want to interpret it in proper way, then it's okay. Sab Maya hai. Either Yog Maya hai ya Maha Maya hai. Lekin Sab Maya. But Maya nahi hai, sir. Maya hai aur uske Mayadhish, Bhagwan bhi hai. There is Lord and there is energy of it. So it's not a thing which is right. But such ideas. So especially this idea, yatomat tatopat, whatever you follow in the life, finally you attain moksha, you merge in Brahman. This is a bogus idea, right? Krishna is scripturally saying that. Prabhupada gives the example also, the most famous example of Prabhupada when he spoke about how different paths lead to different destination. What is that example? Tell me. You must have heard. If someone says all paths lead to same goal, what example you will give? Yeah. You have not heard this example? Please speak.
हरे कृष्णा बोल
Yes, Prabhu.
रेलवे उदाहरण if you want to go to
What?
Delhi you sit in Delhi railway you can go Delhi if you want to go to Bombay you sit in Bombay you can go Bombay like this
Correct. Very nice. Yeah. This is Prabhupada's example. You want to take a train to Calcutta, then you sit in a train which goes to Calcutta, right? You don't sit in a train which goes to Mumbai or down, maybe in the opposite direction, Chennai. No, right? So A train to Chennai will take you to Chennai. A train to Kolkata will take you to Kolkata. Unless and until it is hijacked or something. Right? Sometimes the flights are hijacked and they are taken to different destinations. Flight was supposed to go to Delhi, but it went into Pakistan or Afghanistan. But that is a diseased scenario, right? That is not how the things work. That is emergency. So the point is, usually, if you have to go to a destination, then you take that particular train. So you have to take a certain process to reach a certain destination. All the more in the spiritual life, where there are very subtler nuances of the motivation. Like what I mean is bhakti. Take bhakti only, right? Now within bhakti also, very subtle differences are there. If one has Aishwarya Bhakti, if one has Madhurya Bhakti, at different destinations, isn't it? So the process also matters so much. What is the process and what is the destination? Sadhya, sadhana. Your sadhya should be clear, your sadhana should. Sadhya means the goal to be achieved. Sadhana means the process that we take for that purpose. So in the bhakti process, our sadhya is Krishna's priti, pleasure of Krishna, and especially in the spiritual world, the prema, the love of Godhead. That's the supreme sadhya. And the process for that is the prema bhakti, the raganuga bhakti that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught. And that's a very specific sadhya sadhan for all of us. Within that also we can talk further. And there is this Radha Dasyam and all that aspect. But the point is this, the process of pure bhakti and the pancham purusharth, that prema, that's the goal, sadhya sadhana, like that. So Prabhupada is saying, how can one say that you take any path and you achieve the same destination? Why would that happen? If someone has not worshipped Krishna, why would Krishna allow such a person in the spiritual world? Why would, right? Imagine somebody lands up in the spiritual world without worshipping Krishna. How much that person will suffer there, because everybody is in service of Krishna. And then the person may be envious, or the person is thinking, oh, I am not the center. I'm just saying, imagine such a scenario. It's not possible. Without love of Godhead, nobody can enter Krishna's abode. It is impossible to enter. So, but imagine, I'm saying. So, somebody who has not cultivated that sort of bhakti, why would Krishna accept such a person? Better he will keep him here, no? You can continue that illusion that you are the supreme or you are the enjoyer. So, that's what. Nowhere in authentic scriptures it is said that one will ultimately reach the same goal by doing anything or worshipping anyone. Prabhupada says such foolish theories are offered by self-made spiritual masters. See, that same thing. These are not the dhiras. These are self-made spiritual masters, self-styled, self-made, right? In fact, that word has become a very positive word in today's day and time, right? He is self-made. He did not come from any tradition. As if coming from tradition is some sort of blemish or what. They are self-made. It is a nonsense, actually, complete. Calling someone as self-made. What is this self-made? In this world, do we not owe, we all of us owe so much to everyone, right? To parents, to our relatives, to community, to our teachers. What do you mean by self-made? क्या आकाश से टपका है क्या self-made कह रहे हैं? So These are bogus ideas, actually, self-made and all such, where people feel like. I know so many spiritualists in today's day and time. They talk like this. We don't belong to tradition. We are self-made. Uh, this knowledge just arose to me on one fine day, like that. This way. So devotee doesn't want to be self-made. He wants to depend on the spiritual master, Vaishnavas. Uh, See, one will act in the most responsible manner, right? One will act as if everything depends on himself, but one knows that everything depends on Krishna. We should be that responsible that everything depends on us, but we know that everything depends on Krishna and His mercy. If some credit comes, some success comes, all glory to Krishna and the devotees. But that doesn't mean that I will become irresponsible. No. I will act most responsibly. But the credit is actually due only for Krishna. So by taking all the efforts, we are just expressing our sincerity to Krishna. Finally, results come only by His mercy. If He desires to give, He will give. We can only put the efforts. Our efforts are expression of our sincerity to Krishna. My dear Lord, I want to please you. I want to serve your devotees. I want to render this service. So I am taking this effort. Baki, it's all up to you. Whatever you wish to give, my Lord. So that's how a devotee is. This is the point. So to consider oneself to be independent from parampara, to consider oneself to be self-made and think that it's all my glory and I have done this thing. That's the greatest manifestation of false ego. It's antithesis of Vaishnava philosophy, actually. It is antithesis. Bhritya bhritya paricharak bhritya bhritya. Bhrittasya bhritya iti mam smara lokanath. Kulashekar says, servant of servant of servant of servant. May I be remembered like that, my Lord, as servant of servant. Gopi bhartuhu padakamalayor das das dasanu dasarai. That's our goal. That's our disposition this way. So that's the point. So these are not the dhiras, those who speak such ideas, saying, all paths lead to same goal and all that. They don't have any regard for parampara or anything of that sort. These guys, they just they don't accept any parampara and all that. They don't accept any scriptural wisdom or anything this way. So there is some sort of inhibition that has come now to talk about authority. When you speak about authoritative scriptures, people don't want to hear. That's a postmodern idea, actually. It's not modernism, it is postmodernism. Postmodernist thought is, don't tell me scripture, tell me what is your experience. So we can maybe begin like that because you have to connect to people also, so it's important. So we may begin with some experience from our life and then bring to the track of bona fide ideas from the scripture. Understand? Preaching is a great art, right? So sometimes, like these days, I see that also. When you start with some experience from your own life, and then people very much become interested. Oh, okay, what was the experience? And like, oh, very nice. And then you connect it to the spiritual subjects. It's one of the very good ways to strike connection between the speaker and the audience. Like that. So this is the way. But yes, our internal core, we always know that we are actually, whatever we have is coming from Parampara's grace and spiritual master's grace and the mercy of the devotees this way. So this is how it is. In fact, Prabhupada gives a nice argument from Bhagavad Gita also, that when Krishna says, Arjuna, I am revealing this knowledge to you because you are my friend and devotee. So Krishna is also telling very clearly, right? That being his friend and devotee, that's the way to understand Gita. Right? Saivayam maya tedya yoga prokta puratana bhaktosi ve sakha cheti rahasyam hetu. Krishna says that. Bhaktosi me sakha cheti. You are my sakha, you are my bhakta. That's why you are able to understand this rahasya. So this also means that only one who follows the path of Arjuna can understand the Bhagavad Gita this way. So Prabhupada continues this theme that different paths leading to different goals. So now there are so many interpreters, translators, and they give all their own ideas, right? My Gita, right? They will say my Gita, as if Gita is their book. In India also, one very crazy speculator is there on this in this realm who speaks so much about ideas by writing like my Gita and this and that. See, Prabhupada would say at least you want to write your own ideas. Don't take Krishna's book, Bhagavad Gita. That book has a credibility. You want to use Krishna's credibility and exude your ideas. It's not a gentleman's way, no. Take Gita and then give your own ideas. What sort of things? Prabhupada would say it's making Krishna a scapegoat. You are making Krishna a scapegoat. You understand scapegoat? बलि का बकरा बना रहे कृष्ण. अब बकरा बना दिया Krishna. Because you are speaking your idea, but then you took Krishna's book. So now everybody feels it's Gita, Gita, so they take it. But after they open it, then your ideas they are listening. So Prabhupada would say, at least have some decency and don't put words in Krishna's mouth. Don't take Krishna's book and write like that. Write your own book. Write your own book. Say my realizations and see how many people want to listen to it. Right? Why say Gita? Why say Bhagavad or Gita or whatever? This way, right? So this is the point. So later, Prabhupada speaks about how Arjuna is an example of Sambhava by worship of the supreme cause. Prabhupada says that, sorry, I just clicked on that. Yes. So you see, Prabhupada talks about how Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna gives this example of Arjuna becomes the example of worshipping Lord, who is Sambhava, who is the supreme. So for that purpose, Prabhupada first puts these verses such as Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, Mattah Sarvam Pravartate. The words Sarvasya Prabhavaha indicate that Krishna is the creator of everyone. So he's speaking that word Sambhava, how Krishna is the supreme source, Krishna is independent Lord. And for that purpose, he's quoting all these Atharva Veda, Narayana Upanishad. These are nice references. You can read them and remember them. How in the beginning of creation, only Lord was there, nobody else was there. There was no Brahma, there was no Shiva, no one was there. Only the Narayana was there. Like that. So all those ideas are to explain how Krishna is Sambhava. And then that's why Arjuna worshipped the Lord. You see, before hearing the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was disturbed by the material whirlpool, by his affection for his family, society, and community. Thus, Arjuna wanted to become a philanthropic, non-violent man. But when he became Buddha by hearing the Vedic knowledge, changed his decision and became a worshipper of Lord Krishna. That is Sambhava, isn't it? He worshipped Lord Krishna. and then he achieved a result by that. Those who did not achieve Lord Krishna, worship Lord Krishna, they achieved a result by that, right? Even the destination of various soldiers in the battlefield of Kurukshetra was different. Those who fought on the side of Kauravas, they only achieved heaven because it is a Brahmayuddha. But those who were fighting on the side of Krishna, those who served Krishna and sacrificed for Krishna their lives out of love and affection. So such personalities were blessed by the Lord to enter into his own abode. Those who died looking at beautiful face of Krishna, but they had negative feeling that only because of Krishna we lost the battle or something like that. So they died, but they were thinking negatively about Krishna. Such beings, Vishwanath Chakravarti says, they achieved Brahman. They went and merged in Brahman. Just like a demon, when Krishna kills a demon, then they merge into impersonal Brahman, the effulgence. So similarly, for those who died looking Krishna's lotus face, but those who were unfavorable, they achieved destinations such as Brahmajyoti. Those who looked at Krishna and they felt great love, naturally they achieved Krishna's abode. So like that we see a different destination. Sambhava, by worshipping the Lord, you achieve one destination. And by not worshipping the Supreme Lord, you achieve another destination. Isn't it? Prabhupada continues that Sambhuta or Sambhava, it's the source of birth and sustenance as well as the reservoir that remains after annihilation. So Bhagavatam also begins with this Janma Dyasya Yataha. It's the source of everything, like that. So we should worship that personality who is source of everything. Why to worship someone who is not capable, not worthy, right? This is such a thing, right? See, our life is so valuable. Why should we waste it in serving a person who is not of worth caliber? Like, this was one of the statements which gave me a lot of conviction when I wanted to join ashram, join Krishna consciousness, and then also join ashram. That do I want to give my life for someone, serving someone who is not worth serving? Or do I want to give life for someone who is worth serving? So that's how a devotee is, right? Whether grahasthashram, whether brahmacharya, that doesn't matter. That is okay. But a devotee wants to serve the person who is worthy of service. Material world may glorify the materialistic personalities and so-called, these actors and actresses and beauty queens and, rich people. And people might feel like, oh, we are associated with this person and that person. But actually, most of the times, those guys, right, they are, they may be, humans with so many frailties and so many anarthas. They have their own struggles and vices, all of that. So they may be very big in the material world, but are they Sharanya? Are they worth taking shelter? Krishna is the person who is worth taking shelter. He is the one who loves his servant, loves whoever loves him. He also reciprocates in the best possible manner. So what I mean to say is, it said, "Don't throw pearls to a swine." You have heard this English phrase, "Don't throw pearls to a swine." Swine is a pig. So if you put pearls in front of a pig, what will the pig do? The pig may just go and smell, no? Like that, and then may think that, okay, this is not that delicacy which I like. So leave it. Similarly, Our heart, our existence is like pearls. So we don't give this heart to someone who is not capable, who is not worthy of getting such a love. So who is worthy? Krishna is that worthy person. Vaishnavas are those worthy people. Guru Maharaj, superiors, Vaishnavas, they are the worthy people. They are the ones who should rule our heart. They are the ones whom we offer our time and energy and everything. Not the materialistic people of the world. We may give time for them only to preach Krishna consciousness to them, only to attract them to Krishna consciousness, but not that we relish their mundane activities or we get impressed by them. There is nothing so much impressive in the material world. It's just impressive for some time. You just wait and it will lose all its charm. In material world, nothing stays. All those great, powerful people, right? Boxers. There was this Mike Tyson when I was a child. He was a huge, big boxer and such a knockout boxer, Mike Tyson. But then what happened? Within few years, he was knocked off. And then anybody started beating him. Became a very, very common boxer because that's how material world is. And then somebody who defeated him, he also got defeated by the younger boxers. And then that's how it is. So that's it. That's the nature of material world. Nothing survives here unlike that. So Krishna is actually the worthy person. Sharanya, Sambhuta, Sambhava, like that. Certainly, half-educated spiritual leaders who are disturbed by the tides of material existence cannot know him. They try to make some compromise by making the mass of humanity the object of worship, but they do not know that such worship is only a myth because masses are imperfect. So that's the point. If we don't have education, then we want to serve the masses, serve the leaders of the masses. Asambhuta, asambhava. But will that satisfy? That will not satisfy. It's like pouring the water on the leaves instead of on the root. So we will not be satisfied. The person will not be satisfied. World will not be satisfied. Worship of the mass of humanity by rendering bodily service, which can never be perfect, is less important than service to the soul. That's the thing. Service to the soul is watering the root, right? Prabhupada's examples, watering the root or putting the food in the mouth. These are the proper ways by which we can keep the body healthy, keep the tree healthy. This way. Prabhupada speaks about what is the way, best way to worship that Lord, Sambhava, Sambhavat. See, he's going systematically. You can capture that, how he's going. We talked about how he first spoke about this whole idea of all paths leading to same goal. It's not a proper idea. Then he started speaking on the aspect of how this knowledge is received through the dhiras. Then he started speaking about how Sambhava worship is done by Arjuna, showed that surrender. What is the best way to do that Sambhava now? He says, the simple way to worship the Supreme Lord in this age of disturbance is to hear and chant about his great activities. So, the best process, Sankirtana, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So if we do practice this process, that's the best way. That has the maximum impact. So then we don't have to, hear this word jugglery of these people where, right? So much of prajalpa these days, no? You see this entire, you are fortunate if you are not influenced by that social media or you are not into that. But it's just so rampant these days. Even if you don't want it, it just keeps on coming to you through some sources. So it is such a prajalpa everywhere. People speaking. At least previously people were speaking to their own people in their own places. Now everybody is on that common platform, internet and Instagram, and they're just uploading, right, everything. Now 6 hours, Sometimes when I'm going in train, I see the person sitting next to me, 6 hours, 8 hours, he's watching the video. So finally, with compassion, I will speak to him something. I'll say, now you watched a lot of videos, now shut it off. Listen to me, I have something to say. And then the boy will listen, and then sometimes he's inspired to chant or like that. So if we have taste for hearing kirtanas or hearing Krishna Katha, then we will be saved from this attraction for mundane sound vibration. Otherwise, it's very influential. It will be very, very influential. This way. Instead of hearing of the activities of Lord Krishna, such pseudo-spiritual masters advertise themselves by inducing their followers to sing about them. Prabhupada is saying all these guys who don't worship the Supreme Lord, but rather they say, I am God, or they accept people as God, and in this way they are making them to sing about them. So this is asambhava worship, like that. So instead of hearing about Krishna, they are hearing about their own glory, or they are hearing about some mundane subject matter. And when you worship the Lord, you do sambhavat by the process of kirtanam, shravanam. Then you see the Lord's inner direction cleanses the devotee's heart. So what's the effect is spoken? Shranvata swakatham Krishna, Shravana Kirtana. What's that? Shranvatam swakatha Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Pradhyantasto Hyabhadrane Vidhunoti Suretsata. This is first canto, second chapter. So, Krishna from the within the heart will remove the contamination. So, whatever little bit contamination that we have, that will also be removed if we focus on that process of chanting and hearing. So that's the gist of Prabhupada speaking here, that we give up our attachment for mundane sound vibration and we become more and more connected to the transcendental sound vibration. Then you see that our heart will be completely purified. So Bhakti has that power. Bhakti can purify everyone. Kirat, Punandra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, right? All sorts of whatever lower birth one may have, Bhakti has that power by which one can purify. So Prabhupada is going very nicely. What is Sambhava? Arjuna as the example of Sambhava. And then what is the process to do that Sambhava? What is the effect of that Sambhava? Like that he is talking about. When one attains Brahminical qualification, he becomes happy and enthusiastic to render devotional service. Automatically the science of God is unveiled before. So that's why this is a gradual process. One can cultivate Brahminical qualifications, render service, and then in this way one becomes qualified to go back home, back to Godhead, which is the result of Sambhava, while the result of Asambhava is the mundane results. Hare Krishna. So that completes this verse also. So I think we have completed 2 hours and we have completed 2 verses. So maybe I'll take the 3rd verse in the next session. Half an hour I'll take. And that session, if I need it, I can extend it. But I think it's late today, so we can stop here. The verse number 12, I will take in next session in the beginning, half an hour. And then rest of the verses, yeah, still we can finish in 2 hours. It's okay, that section is not so much of discussion. Okay, so I hope all of you are okay with that. If you have any question, you may ask now, or we can part of for today. Any questions? Anyone has any comments or questions? Did you get this? Get these two verses clearly?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
All right. Prabhu,
And
there is this
sorry.
third verse remaining. Half an
Yes,
hour it
yes,
will
yes.
take. So I think we'll do it on Friday.
Sure, Prabhuji. I was sitting with our camp devotees, Prabhuji. So, because they wanted a Hindi, so they also heard Prabhuji. And we are very grateful to you, Prabhu. We know that's very late for you in India, maybe 11:30 plus now.
11:30.
So, yes, Prabhuji. So sorry for that,
No, that's
Prabhuji.
okay. That's okay. Okay. That we had decided, no, these two sessions will do. So no issues, no problem.
So
Sometimes
Friday,
because of studies, I extend and sleep at around 12 o'clock and then get up at 4 and make it for. So sometimes I do that. So otherwise,
thank
yeah,
you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. तो एक प्रभु एक प्रश्न यहाँ पर है प्रभु जी पूछ प्लीज बताइए
हरे कृष्ण धन्यवाद प्रणाम प्रभु जी
Dhanavad Pranam.
प्रभु जी ये जो अभी जो अल्पसंख्यक हो गए चाहे भगवान ऋषभ देव के जो अनुयायी जहाँ से हमारा जो उनके अनुयायी जो जैन धर्म या बौद्ध धर्म समथिंग हो गए
बिल्कुल
तो
बिल्कुल
प्रभु जी तो फिर ये जो है तो इनको हम किस प्रकार से समझ सकते हैं प्रभु जी फिर ये
क्या स्थान को बोलता है
हम्म,
मतलब क्या होता है
इनको जैसे बोले तो इनका उद्देश्य क्या रहता है प्रभु जी और ये कहाँ जाते हैं जैसे कि प्रभुपाद जी ने अभी उदाहरण दिया प्रभु जी की जो रेल है जहाँ पे हम ट्रेन जहाँ का टिकट लेंगे उसी गंतव्य पे पहुंचेंगे तो फिर प्रभु जी ये लोग तो निराकार या तो साकार को ये तो मानते नहीं तो फिर ये लोग का गंतव्य क्या है प्रभु जी?
देखिए ब्रो,
और
जैसे जैन मार्ग है तो वो नास्तिक मार्ग है। हाँ, नास्तिक इसलिए क्योंकि वो वेदों को नहीं मानते। हाँ, बौद्ध, जैन और चारवाक के तीन नास्तिक मार्ग है। तो चूंकि वो वेदों को नहीं मानते हैं और फिर अभी डिपेंड भी करेगा कि कोई जैन धर्म में निर्भर करेगा कि कितने हद तक और किस प्रकार के कंसेप्शन से, किस प्रकार के मानसिक भाव से वो जी रहा है। जैसे मेरे मित्र है एक, जो कि एक कंपनी में काम करते हैं, तो वहाँ के उनके काम, मतलब जहाँ काम करते हैं उसके ओनर एक बहुत बड़े जैन उद्योगपति है। तो मुझे एक बार मिलाने को लेके गए वो। तो फिर हालांकि वो नास्तिक मार्ग के हैं जैन, और उनकी बहुत सारी गलत धारणाएं होती है कृष्ण के प्रति भी, लेकिन अच्छे से बात की हमने, मैंने भी अच्छे से बात की, कुछ कनेक्ट करने के लिए भौतिक विषय पे भी पहले बात की, इंजीनियरिंग पे कुछ बातें कर रहे थे हम, ये वो तो ऐसे। तो उसके पश्चात मैंने देखा कि हालांकि वो जैन थे, लेकिन उनको जो जैनिज्म में जो चीजें बोली जाती है कृष्ण के बारे में और जो कुछ गलत धारणाएं हैं उनकी, कि कृष्ण भी कर्म के फेरे में फंस गए, कृष्ण कर्म के कारण, बड़े मतलब विचित्र विचार है उनके। तो ये व्यक्ति को कुछ मालूम नहीं था प्रभु, ऐसा कुछ उसको आइडिया नहीं। वो बहुत सहृदय था, बड़ा खुद भी थोड़ा सा तपस्या करता था जीवन में, व्रत तपस्या आदि में जैन बड़े अच्छे हैं, जैन लोगों में स्वभाव होता है। वो बहुत बड़ा दानी भी है वो। तो काफी मतलब सात्विक व्यक्ति थी वो। तो सात्विक व्यक्ति थी, लेकिन उसको बस इतना ही मालूम था कि जैन लोग वेद आदि पढ़ते नहीं है। उसको ज्यादा आइडिया नहीं थी उसके अपने इसके बारे में। तो जब मैं कृष्ण के बारे में वगैरह बोला तो हाँ बोला, मैं भी जाता हूँ कृष्ण मंदिर में, मैं भगवान का सबका सम्मान करता हूँ, कृष्ण भगवान के सामने माथा टेकता हूँ, तो मुझे बहुत अच्छे लगता है। बोले कृष्ण ऐसे। तो देखो, मतलब मैं कहना ये चाहता हूँ कि उसमें भी जैन मार्ग का कोई अनुयायी हो, लेकिन उसकी धारा क्या है, विचारधारा, ये भी देखना पड़ेगा। तो कई प्रारंभ में जैन लोगों में के मन में ऐसे विचार थे जहां पे वो कृष्ण को भी कर्म के बंधन में फंसाते हैं, कृष्ण को एक साधारण व्यक्ति समझते हैं कि जो कर्म के बंधन से फंस गया और आज कहीं पे दुख भोग रहा है, इस प्रकार के विचार। तो देखिए, ये विचार जो है बड़े आपराधिक भाव के हैं। तो ऐसे आपराधिक भाव से अगर कोई कृष्ण को देख रहा है या हमारे अर्च विग्रहों को देख रहा है, तो फिर उसको तो उसका दंड मिलेगा निश्चित रूप से, निश्चित रूप से मिलेगा। लेकिन अगर वैसा कुछ नहीं है, व्यक्ति बस अज्ञानी है और जिस प्रकार की सात्विकता वो जीते हैं, तो एक सात्विक जीवन शैली है एक्चुअली जैनों की, देखा जाए तो काफी हद तक। तो वो सात्विक और थोड़ी राजसिक भी, बट सात्विकता है उनमें, आप कई प्रकार से देखो, तपस्या, नैतिकता, ये सब चीजें को मानते हो बड़े अच्छे से, पालन भी करते हैं काफी बात स्ट्रिक्टली। तो एक कह सकते हैं, प्रभुपाद जी कहते हैं कन्वर्सेशन के, ऐसे लोगों को कुछ सात्विक डेस्टिनेशन, गंतव्य मिलता है। हाँ, तो सात्विक गंतव्य मतलब कुछ ऐसे परिवारों में जन्म मिलेगा जो कि धनी परिवार है या फिर थोड़े धार्मिक परिवार है, और फिर हो सकता है वहां पे उनको कृष्ण भक्ति के लिए अनुकूल वातावरण आदि प्राप्त हो गए, या तो कुछ सात्विक प्रकार का डेस्टिनेशन इन लोगों को मिलता है, अगर वे आउटराइटली सीधे सीधे वे धार्मिक मतलब आपराधिक नहीं, अपराध नहीं कर रहे, वेदों की भत्सना नहीं कर रहे, ऐसा है तो। अगर वेद की भत्सना कर रहा है कोई, निंदा कर रहा है वेद की, कृष्ण की निंदा कर रहा है, तो फिर तो ऐसे व्यक्ति को कृष्ण जैसे कहते हैं, ये यथा माम प्रपद्यन्ते, निश्चित वे दंडित तो करेंगे। लेकिन चूंकि इन लोगों के गंतव्य पे ऐसे बहुत कुछ किसी ने विचार बोला नहीं है हमारे आचार्यों ने कि भाई कहाँ जाते हैं एग्जैक्ट, इसलिए कुछ बेसिक प्रिंसिपल बोले कि हो सकता है उनको एक सात्विक गंतव्य मिले, आदि आदि। ठीक है, ठीक प्रभु, सुने सुने कि नहीं आंसर?
हरे कृष्ण जी प्रभु जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद प्रभु जी। ये थोड़ा मेरा दो और जिज्ञासा, जैसे कि जो ये अल्पसंख्यक है अभी भारत वर्ष, तो वो लोग भी तो निराकार मानते हैं और प्लस वो लोग का तो अलग ही है, तो फिर उनका गंतव्य क्या है?
किसका
इसको हम
गंतव्य?
किस प्रकार से, जो भी भारतवर्ष में अल्पसंख्यक, जैसे कि ये जो चल रहा है, जैसे कि अपना मुस्लिम या समथिंग जो है, तो ये लोग को किस प्रकार समझ सकते हो?
देखो, प्रभुपाद जी कहते हैं, आप प्रभुपाद जी के वेदाभ्यास में ये देखिए कन्वर्सेशन, तो प्रभुपाद जी कहते हैं कि जैसे कोई अगर शुद्ध, एकदम शुद्ध रूप में इस्लाम का पालन करेगा, या शुद्ध रूप में ईसाई धर्म का या यहूदी धर्म का पालन करेगा, जुडाइज्म क्रिश्चियनिटी का, तो प्रभुपाद जी कहते हैं कि ऐसे लोगों को जैसे कि उनके धर्म में बताया है, ईसा मसीहा हो या फिर मोहब्बत हो, पैगंबर हो, ये जो है ऐसे लोगों को डेस्टिनेशन, गंतव्य प्रदान करके वहां से प्रभुपाद जी कहते हैं उनको मार्गदर्शन करके आगे लेके जाएंगे। तो जो भी उन लोगों ने स्थान बोले, जन्नत हो या पैराडाइज हो या जो भी कुछ है, तो प्रभुपाद जी कहेंगे कि, कहते हैं उस कन्वर्सेशन में कि ये लोगों को उन उन धर्म के जो प्रेषित है, मसीहा है, अ, वो जो है उनको वहां से आगे लेके जाए, वैदिक धर्म की ओर अग्रसर बनाएंगे। तो इतनी बात यहाँ तक प्रभुपाद जी ने बोली है, लेकिन चूंकि ये वैदिक प्रणाली के अंदर आते नहीं है ना, तो मैं वही समझा रहा था, क्योंकि ये वैदिक प्रणाली के अंदर आते नहीं, तो इनके गंतव्यों के बारे में वगैरह ऐसा शास्त्र में तो कहीं वर्णन ही नहीं आएगा ना। आप पूरे शास्त्र में इस्लाम, क्रिश्चियनिटी और यहूदी धर्म का कोई भी कहीं वर्णन नहीं आता है। आप भविष्य पुराण में थोड़ा बहुत आता है, लेकिन गंतव्य वगैरह की तो बात ही नहीं। अब उनका क्या विधि है, क्या गंतव्य, इसका तो कोई बात ही नहीं करता। भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर अपने ग्रंथों में थोड़ा बहुत करते हैं इसके बारे में, और फिर वो वहां पे ये यही इसी प्रकार की चीजें समझाते हैं कि उनको जो भी कुछ प्रॉमिस उनके मैसेंजर ने की है, उनके मसीहा ने की है, उसको लेके वे उनको वहां से आगे बढ़ाते हुए लेके जाएंगे, अगर वो शुद्ध शुद्ध रूप में उस धर्म का पालन कर रहे हैं। तो आजकल तो क्या है, कितना अशुद्ध है वो, हिंदू भी अशुद्ध हो गए और ये भी लोग अशुद्ध है, तो उसमें कई सारे विचित्र चीजें आ गई, गलत चीजें आ गई। हाँ, तो वो तो शुद्ध रहा ही नहीं, तो फिर तो और भी मुश्किल है, कहना क्या है। कम से कम वैदिक शास्त्र में कैसे मूल शास्त्र है, इसकी वजह से आप बता तो सकते हो कि सही चीज क्या है। लेकिन इन ग्रंथों में तो सही चीज बोलना भी बड़ा मुश्किल हो गया है, कि क्या सही है क्या गलत है, बता ही नहीं सकते वो कई बार। ये सारे पहलू भी हमें देखने पड़ेंगे। ठीक है ब्रो। ओके, और कोई कुछ पूछना
ठीक है
चाहेगा?
प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी एक
यस, लास्ट
ओके ओके, थैंक
लास्ट
यू प्रभु जी।
लास्ट बोलिए।
ओके प्रभु जी, आखिरी हमारा इच्छा था, ये जो भी रीतिक जो निकल गए प्रभुपाद जी से, तो ये लोग तो भी प्रभु जी, ये लोग भी तो परंपरा में आते थे, लेकिन किस प्रकार मतलब इनको हम समझ सकते हैं कि वो लोग मतलब इस प्रकार से पुकारे हैं उसको, मतलब ये या कुछ जो
नहीं, ये नहीं समझ
रीतिकवाद,
पाया मैं। प्रश्न नहीं समझ
जैसे जो
पाया, क्या बोल रहे हैं?
प्रभु जी, जैसे जो रीतिकवाद है, तो प्रभुपाद
ऋत्विक।
जी के तो ऋतिक,
ऋ-
यस,
हाँ,
ऋतिकवाद,
ऋत्विक, ओके।
तो ये प्रभुपाद जी से मतलब ही मतलब उनके मतलब अनुयायी उनके निर्देश में जैसे मान के चले तो परंपरा प्राप्ति, मतलब परंपरा से ही वो भी मतलब स्वर्णों के माध्यम से वो लोग जाते, लेकिन वो फिर वो किस प्रकार से ऋतिकवाद मतलब ये हो गए, इसको हम कैसे समझ सकते हैं?
हाँ, वो तो आप उसका थोड़ा इतिहास पढ़ लीजिए या सुन सकते हो किसी से, आप चाहिए तो। थोड़ा इतिहास देखिए, उसमें कैसे है कि वो कुछ एक एक दो लेटर्स है प्रभुपाद जी के, पत्र है, उसके आधार पे थोड़ी सी उनकी गलत धारणा हो गई ऋत्विकवादियों की, कि प्रभुपाद जी नहीं चाहते थे कि आगे चल के कोई दूसरे गुरु बने, आदि आदि। हाँ, तो एक दो लेटर्स है, उसके आधार पे वो बातें करते हैं, लेकिन वो एक्चुअली ऐसा है नहीं। उस उन पत्रों के विरुद्ध प्रभुपाद जी ने कई जगह पे, कितनी जगह पे बोला है कि गुरु कैसे बन सकते हैं कोई, और फिर उनके जाने के पश्चात भी अन्य गुरु बनेंगे। प्रभुपाद ने स्वयं 11 लोगों के नाम सजेस्ट किए कि अभी इनको प्रारंभ में गुरु बनाइए, और फिर उसके पश्चात और भी जो भी क्वालिफाइड है गुरु बनेंगे। तो देखिए, एक तो लेटर्स हैं वो ऐसे जिसको भी बड़ा गलत मीनिंग दिया है, अर्थ दिया है। तो हमारे संस्था में जयाद्वैत स्वामी जी है, परम पूज्य जयाद्वैत महाराज, तो उन्होंने एक अच्छा ग्रंथ लिखा है प्रभुपाद्स ऑर्डर करके, अंग्रेजी में है वो। तो उसमें उन्होंने बड़े अच्छे से समझाया है ये चीजें कि कैसे ये गलत धारणा हो गई इन लोगों की, और कैसे ये हो गया। तो ऐसा है प्रभु, तो जीव को कई बार अन्य अन्य भी इच्छाएं रहती है, तो उसमें कुछ इस प्रकार का मिल गया, एक एक एक्सक्यूज मिल गई है, या पहले से ही कुछ स्वतंत्र विचार रहेगा, स्वतंत्र होने का विचार रहेगा, उसमें कोई ऐसा कारण मिल गया तो उसको लेके फिर पूरा अलग हो गए एकदम। कई बार तो आपको क्या बताएं, भौतिक जगत में देखो, सिद्धांत का भी इतना नहीं होता है कुछ, सिद्धांत से भी ज्यादा पैसा, प्रॉपर्टी ये बातें होती है। मतलब मैं फ्रैंकली कह रहा हूं कि कई बार ना सिद्धांतों से इतना व्यक्ति को कोई परेशानी नहीं होता है, लेकिन वहां पे दिख जाए उसको कि अरे चलो, हम अलग हो सकते हैं, इतना सारा पैसा ले सकते हैं, इतनी सारी बड़ी प्रॉपर्टी को हमारे नाम कर सकते हैं, इस टाइप के भी भाव रहते हैं बहुत सारी जगह पर। तो उसको कुछ फिर दर्शन का भी आधार मिल जाए तो व्यक्ति फिर उसको उठा लेता है। ऐसे तो जहां तक मैंने इन इस केसेस को देखा है और काफी नजदीक से देखा है, उन भक्तों को भी बात की है जो एकदम सीधे सीधे इन भक्तों से लड़ रहे थे, मतलब केस लड़ रहे थे। तो कई बार उन्होंने कहा कि ये दर्शन का इतना विचार है नहीं एक्चुअली, बाकी भी दूसरे उसमें पहलू है, प्रॉपर्टी के पहलू है, और भी कई पहलू है ऐसे। तो ठीक है, दर्शन का भी आप विचार करें तो एक दो लेटर पे आपने पूरा इतना बड़ा जंजाल बना दिया, ऐसे थोड़ी ना होता है। प्रभुपाद जी के तात्पर्य में, प्रभुपाद जी के लेक्चर में सैकड़ों स्टेटमेंट है जहां पर प्रभुपाद जी कहते हैं कि आप गुरु बनना चाहिए, एक शिष्य जो होता है वो बाद में गुरु बनता है, और कैसे हमें दीक्षा के लिए गुरु की जरूरत होती है, एक व्यक्तिशः गुरु की जरूरत होती है। तो ये सब उनको दिखते नहीं है स्टेटमेंट कुछ, तो बस छोटा सा वो लेटर में कुछ तो जो लिखा है उसको लेके अपना चलाते हैं। इसमें प्रभु उद्देश्य की प्रामाणिकता नहीं है, ऐसा देखो। अगर उद्देश्य की प्रामाणिकता हो ना, तो वो इतना कठिन नहीं है समझना कि प्रभुपाद जी क्या चाहते थे। प्रभुपाद जी चाहते थे कि उनके पश्चात सारे जो उचित पात्र लोग हैं वो भक्त बने, ये परंपरा गुरु शिष्य की बनी रहे, कई जगह पे बोला है, अखंडित रूप से गुरु शिष्य परंपरा चलनी चाहिए। इसमें सवाल ही नहीं है कि प्रभुपाद जी के बाद कोई गुरु नहीं बन सकता। ये किस प्रकार के, प्रभुपाद जी कैसे गुरु हुए कि वो किसी और को गुरु के पद तक नहीं उठा सकते? हाँ, तो ये तो प्रभुपाद जी की क्षमता पे ही क्या हो गया है। प्रभुपाद जी ऐसे गुरु है कि वो एक म्लेच्छ और यवन को उठा के महाभागवत के स्तर पे लेके जा सकते हैं। तो वो प्रभुपाद जी की ताकत है। प्रभुपाद जी कोई साधारण व्यक्ति है क्या? तो ऐसे कह देना कि प्रभुपाद जी के बाद कोई गुरु ही नहीं बन सकता, तो ये तो प्रभुपाद जी की क्षमता पे ही लांछन लगा देना। इसलिए ये ठीक नहीं है बिल्कुल। ओके
ओके, धन्यवाद प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्णा। चलिए मिलते हैं फ्राइडे।
थैंक यू प्रभु जी, थैंक यू प्रभु जी। हम सब मिलकर आपका धन्यवाद करते हैं प्रभु जी, भगवान के नाम का आश्रय करके। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण कृष्ण
हरे राम राम हरे हरे।
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री ईशोपनिषद की जय।
जय।
थैंक यू प्रभु।
थैंक यू।
थैंक यू प्रभु जी।
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
So Prabhu, Friday again we can connect Prabhu on the same ID, right Prabhu? Friday also.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.